Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Tommy Maroon Sports Show on WCTV. It's Wednesday, of course, and it reminds me we have a lot to talk about. The NBA, the Cavs, the Guardians, and some NASCAR. Crazy finish out there. I did not get the video on it. In fact, it's not even here on this, outline, but I was talking with John earlier today. He said that the ending was so great and an epic one, so I had to tap on it, but we'll get to that later. First things first, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cavs against the Hawks was a rough one. The Cavs lost 107-101. Larry Market at 26.6 threes. Karis LeVert 16.4 threes. Darius Garland 21 points, 9 assists. That guy right there, Trae Young, 38 points, 9 assists. 32 of those points came in the second half. Bogdan Bogdanovic, 19 points. Danilo Gallinari, 14 points. Cavs were up by 14 and winning for most of the game. The game started off on a tear for the Cavs, and then they fell apart in something that I like to call the Cavlapse. Get it, like a collapse, except it's more like a Cavlapse. It's the exact opposite of a Cavalanche, because a Cavalanche started off the game, and the game very fittingly ended with a Cavlapse, a collapse that we will be talking about for a long time. One of the biggest choke jobs in the history of the NBA. We collapsed like a runner in the desert without any water. A nuclear meltdown in the second half of this game really cost us the game. I kept on saying on Twitter that the Cavs were going to go to the NBA Finals, and they didn't go to the NBA Finals. They collapsed. Injuries or not, we played most of the season without, who do you call him? We played most of the season without Colin Sexton. Again, we lost Ricky Rubio, and we lost Jared Allen, we lost Evan Mobley, but still, there's no excuse for collapsing that quickly, for boom, dying that quickly, and the season ending in such a tragic way. Where Boston is right now, the number 2 seed, we'll get to them later as well, is quite easily where the Cavs could have been. Where the Bucks are right now is quite easily where the Cavs could be right now. Cavs were tied for second on February 11th, 2022, one game back of the, I believe, Chicago Bulls, if not the Miami Heat, when it came to the top seed. I'm trying to pull it up right now. A 44-38 season. Just a frustrating one, to say the least. Looking at the schedule. Yeah, on February 11th, if I can find it. Yeah, one game back of the Miami Heat for the top seed in the Eastern Conference. Heading into the All-Star break on February 18th of 2022, the Cavs stood 2.5 games back of Miami and Chicago for the top seed. 2.5 games back. And tied with Philly and Milwaukee for the third seed. We would have been fourth at that point. That is still very embarrassing what happened. Post All-Star break, Cavs go 9-15. And they dropped 17 out of their last 26 games. And as previously mentioned, the Cavalanche turned into a Cavlapse, just like the fold of 1964 with the Philadelphia Phillies. This is basically what the 1964 fold is, and the 2011 Red Sox. That's basically what the 2022 Cleveland Cavaliers are in baseball terms. We'll get more on the Guardians later. And it was something that I call the Cavlapse. It's not the worst season in team history. That's definitely 2010-2011 when the Cavs lost 26 games in a row in their first season without LeBron. This is our fourth season without, fourth season without LeBron, i.e. him going to Los Angeles rather than Miami. But still, that's frustrating. Embarrassing losses during this stretch include losses to Detroit, the LOL Lakers, and the Magic. Yes, I call the Lakers the LOL Lakers because they suck so terribly at basketball. They're so bad. But there's no room for us to say that they suck because we played terribly the second half. Oh my God. The stretch also included losses to Atlanta and Brooklyn, obviously foreshadowing what was to come in the play-in tournament. Although the stretch definitely featured tough teams, you still need to win 13 of 15 of those games to be competitive. A very frustrating ending. A team set the world on fire and then went back to earth. It was a collapse for the ages. Some of the biggest collapses in the history of the NBA. If I pull it up, just looking at some of the worst second half collapses of all time, this is basically the second coming of 2005, if you recall 2005. That was back when LeBron was in his second season, and then Dan Gilbert took over as owner and basically tried to rebuild everything, and it all backfired. If I can pull up the 2004-2005 NBA standings, of course, that was a huge collapse there by the Cavs. If I'm looking at that. Sorry about this, folks. Yeah, in 2005, wow, the Cavs were 29-20. No, 30-20, I believe. Yeah, 30-20 at one point were the Cavs. 31-21. Then they lost 6 straight. Then they lost 9 out of their next 12. And they just finished with a disappointing 42-40 record and missed the playoffs. This season is the second coming of 2005. A frustrating season. A season that started off on a tear and ends up with the Cavs collapsing. One of the biggest collapses in team history. A Cavs lapse. Well, NBA playoffs have happened without the Cavs. Suns against the Pelicans. Phoenix and New Orleans are tied up at 1. Chris Paul, 30 points, 10 assists, 7 rebounds in Game 1. Brandon Ingram, 37 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists in Game 2. Mavs against the Jazz. Right there. Series is tied at 1 game apiece. Donovan Mitchell, 32 points in Game 1. Jalen Brunson, 41 points, 8 rebounds in Game 2. Of course, I believe this is Game 2 or Game 1, of course. I forgot which one it is. I apologize for that. And the Warriors against the Nuggets. Warriors are really taking down Denver and turning those Nuggets into their playoff form, otherwise known as the McNuggets. The Warriors that had 2 games to none. Jordan Poole, 30 points in Game 1. Steph Curry, 34 points, 5 threes in Game 2. Then the Memphis Grizzlies against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The series out there is tied at 1. Anthony Edwards, 36 points in Game 1. John Morant, 23 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds in Game 2. He's had himself a good season. And then the Heat against the Hawks. Heat leading 2-0. Duncan Robinson, 29 points, 8 threes in Game 1. Jimmy Butler, 45 points in Game 2. And, of course, that's just frustrating to see the Hawks in the playoffs, whereas that could have been the Cavs. 76ers playing the Raptors. 76ers up ahead 2 games to none. James Harden, 22 points, 14 assists in Game 1. Joel Embiid, 31 points, 11 rebounds in Game 2. Bucks against the Bulls. Bucks up 1 game to nothing. Giannis, 27 points, 16 rebounds in Game 1. Then the biggest game of the postseason, in my opinion, the Celtics Nets. It came down to this. Jason Tatum right there towards the bottom of your screen. He spins, lays it up, and puts it in at the buzzer to give the Celtics a big lead. This Celtics team, yes, the same Celtics team that has been sizzling hot ever since the second half, basically doing the exact opposite of what the Cavs did all season, which is start off slowly and then catch on fire second half, as Tatum definitely, clearly got it off. And the Celtics were celebrating on the famed parquet floor there at the TD Ameritrade Garden, unless if it's going, yeah, it's the same name, just with a bunch of name changes now, because the Carrier Dome is no longer the Carrier Dome. If I can look it up. It is another name. It's a stupid name. If I can look it up. New name, Carrier Dome, new name. It is going to be, oh, there it is, folks. The JMA Wireless Dome, where Syracuse plays. I've been to Carrier Dome. It's actually pretty cool. Statues of Jim Brown, Ernie Davis, two Browns legends. Yeah, the JMA Wireless Dome. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, nobody's going to call it the JMA Wireless Dome. Just like how no one calls the Staples Center the Crypto.com Arena. Everyone still calls it the, what do you call it? Anyways, Cleveland Guardians, why not talk about them? But first, NASCAR. Crazy race out there. Kyle Busch won on dirt, Bristol. Kyle Larson took home stage 1. Chase Briscoe took home stage 2. Crazy ending. Basically what happened was Tyler Reddick and Chase Briscoe were making the turn on the last turn. On the last lap, it looked like Tyler Reddick and Briscoe were going to battle it out. And then they crashed, which led Kyle Busch to just take over. And Busch got the win. That's his first win of the season. If I look at the leaderboard for most wins in NASCAR history, if I can find it, that's his 60th. His 60th win ever, which is very hard to believe. Which is 9th all time. And yeah. Yes, it is his 9th all time, which is quite unbelievable. Kyle Busch going to go down as one of the greatest racers of all time. He's won twice, 2015, 2019. He's the all-time leader in current day racers now with 60. Kevin Harvick, 2 behind him. Now time to go to the Cleveland Guardians. And how about this start right here for Owen Miller, who's hurt? 500 batting average for Owen Miller. Miles Straw has 11 runs now. RBIs. Jose Ramirez has 19. Miles Straw, 4 RBIs. Shane Bieber, 1.64 ERA, 9 strikeouts for him, and a .7 whip. And right now, we're going to talk about this game against the White Sox because the Guards are on a tear. 7-0 against the White Sox. Jose Ramirez hit a grand slam. He's been on fire all season long. Oh, my goodness. Meanwhile, the lone hit for the White Sox so far today has come from Andrew Vaughn, as we have been able to shut down, and by we, I mean Shane Bieber. You got Bieber fever, I got Bieber fever. His ERA is at 2.25 right now, I believe, not 1.64. And he's taking down Tim Anderson, Jose Abreu, Yasmani Grandal. Eloy Jimenez sitting on the bench for today, so is Leury Garcia. And so is Josh Harrison for the White Sox. Well, I still can't believe it. Dallas Keuchel's getting lit up like a Christmas tree out here. 7 runs scored because Jose just parked one out of here. It came on a 1-ball, 1-strike pitch up and over the mini monster in front of what looks to be a half-empty crowd at Progressive Field. Now time to look at the game recaps. Guardians against the Reds. Guardians took down the Reds 2-0 in the series. Miles 4 for 5 in game 2. Jose 3 for 4. 3 RBIs in game 2. Guardians against the Giants. We got swept. We played a real team and got swept. It was sad to see. Like depressing. Carlos Rodon, who no-hit us last year, had 7 innings and 2 hits in game 1. And in game 1, the Guards got 3 hits. And then 8 hits in game 2. Each of them were 2 hits each from 4 players. Miles had a triple and runs scored in game 2. Thairo Estrada had a 4 RBI game and 2 runs scored in game 2. And Ahmed Rosario was a lone run. My goodness. Just looking at the crowd out there at Progressive Field today. Looking at the crowd right there at Great American Ballpark. It may be depressing, but you know what? It's not as depressing as there's former Guardian Tyler Naquin striking out. This crowd, those crowds you see are not as depressing as the Oakland crowd last night against Baltimore. Now I get it, they're 2 of the worst teams in the MLB. But guess how many folks showed up to the A's game last night at the, where do you call it? 3,748 at the Oakland Mausoleum last night. Yeah, 3,478. That is depressing. Highland gets more fans per game. That is right, folks. North Gateway Tire Field gets more fans per game because it is, take a guess. Because you know why? You know why? Because the Hornets have a better fan base than than the A's. The Hornets aren't moving, unlike what the A's are probably going to be soon. You know, I have a poll on Twitter. No one's voted on it. Who gets more fans? Our football team or the A's? And yeah, we all know there's a correct answer to that. That is just sad. That is depressing. We'll pack the house. And they don't. I still can't believe it. 3,748. The people that went to Len Barker's perfect game was, contrary to popular belief, not 72,900, but rather 7,290, even though 72,000 more swear they attended it. I know I didn't because I was not alive. It wasn't until 23 years later. But yeah, I'm going to pull up something on I'm going to do something. I'm going to add something to my Instagram story. Follow me at Tommy Maroon Sports. It's this question right here, or it's a poll actually, if I can find the poll. And it'll be a quiz. Who gets more fans per game? Who gets more fans? The Oakland A's or the Highland Hornets football team? And yes, there is a correct answer to this, folks. If I can put it on my story. There it is. Share it. And there it is. And I answered with Highland Hornets football team right here, folks. Right here. So follow me at Tommy Maroon Sports on Instagram. 329 followers strong. That's right, 329. And as you can tell, Highland gets more fans than the A's. 3,748 compared to 5,000 at the Tire. 121 more days to go till the Hornets make their glorious return. 128 more days till the Tire gets more fans than what the A's did last night, because we're playing North Royalton. And North Royalton is a good rival of ours. They're like 15 minutes north of us. And every time we play North Royalton, it's a great game. The last 4 years we've played North Royalton, it's been a classic. 2018, one of the last play of the game. All right, Guardians up by the Backstreet Boys. Favorite score, 8-0, by the way. Yeah. 8-0. That is insane. Yes, round of applause indeed. That is fun to hear about. It's a doubleheader today because the first two games got snowed out. But anyways, yeah, Jose hit a grand slam. We know that on my phone. Yeah, 2018 Hornets won the last play against North Royalton. 2019 Hornets lost to North Royalton 35-28. COVID season 2020, Hornets won because we stopped North Royalton on what would have been a go-ahead 2-point conversion. And then the magical season 2021, Hornets stopped North Royalton of getting a game-winning drive, I believe. That was 24-21, a close one out there. But every time we play North Royalton, it's going to be a great game. But first, we got to look ahead to Berea Mid-Park. So until then, which is 121 more days from now, so I won't be talking about that for a few months, and meanwhile it's now no longer 8-0, it's now 9-0. I've been playing MLB Show 22 a lot because it's the only game that actually is good nowadays when it comes to sports video games. And I didn't even make it 9-0 in my games until the end of the game. The Guardians are having a video game MLB The Show MVP baseball-like day today. They might put up 30 runs. They might go 30-3. Hey, the Rangers did in 2007 against Baltimore. What do you know? Maybe 30-3, maybe 30-3. The White Sox are making a golly ton of errors out there. I think that's their 4th error of the day. Oh, ye gods, it is. And they still haven't gotten it out. 9 runs have scored this inning. Austin Hedges is up. So we'll get more about that game next week right here. Goodbye, everyone.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.